of sacrifice. Because, Father, you speak you give your homily so long. So what? And people are so much complaining, our mass is too long. Sometimes we forget to give some sacrifice. And as we enter into our church, we are entering into the time of God. We leave the chronological time, and now we are entering to the Kairos time. That is a time of God, the time of eternity. There is no past, there is no future, it is always present because God is with us. And now, I would like to emphasize, I would like to give some explanation regarding the palms that we had. So do you have your palms with you? Okay. So what's the meaning of that? You have seen some martyrs of the faith, isn't it? And some of their images, they carry the palms in their hands. It is sign of their martyrdom. But usually, when we have the palms, we have that, it means it is victory. That's why we have this Palm Sunday to signify the victory of Jesus. The victory of Jesus from death. And we hold these branches of palms, as partakers of that victory of Jesus. It's not only the victory of Jesus from death, but we become partakers of that victory. That's why we commemorate the palm as Jesus entered into Jerusalem. Okay? And now, do you know what is the cause, God, to ransom us from slavery to sin and eternal death? We heard in the gospel how Jesus gave him life for us. And you said the Romans reserved crucifixion for their worst offenders. It was designed to be the most humiliating and excruciatingly painful way they knew for execution. The criminal was stripped and nailed to a cross erected in a public place, usually by a roadside or highway near the town where the criminal could be viewed by everybody who passed that way. A healthy man could live for several days on such a cross before he expired from hunger, thirst, exhaustion, and madness. It was a slow, agonizing death, usually as a result of asphyxiation. It is the result of lack of oxygen. And the victim was hung on the cross in such a fashion that his lungs quickly filled with fluids, and he could not breathe unless he pulled his chest upward and gasped the breath. That's why we heard in the gospel. He breathed his last, and Jesus said, "Father, into your hands I commend my spirit." And he breathed his last, and Jesus died. So every movement brought nerve-wracking pain. Eventually, exhaustion led to asphyxiation. It's lack of oxygen. If the soldiers wanted to speed the process up, they broke the legs and prevent ease of breathing. And the authorities deliberately executed Jesus besides two known criminals. Do you know what's the name of that? As far as I remember, they are named Dimas and Histas. That's what I remember. This was designed to publicly humiliate Jesus before the crowds and to rank him with robbers. Still sound familiar? If Jesus would be ranked with the robbers, if Jesus would live today, what is the rank of Jesus? Pedophiles. Because oftentimes nowadays they viewed every priest as a pedophile, as if everybody is a bad person. That's why if we so much criticize the church, we are once again crucifying Jesus. And when Jesus was nailed to the cross, he was already more than half dead. The scourging alone and the cross of thorns beaten into his skull had nearly killed him. Sad to say, we don't have the big cross to emphasize those things. And such a state, it all is more remarkably to see Jesus with a clear, sound mind and tranquil heart. What goes through his mind and what does he speak from the cross? Why doesn't he react with anger at those who jeer and insult him? Jesus' first words are addressed to his Father as a prayer of forgiveness of those who have harmed him unjustly and even out of ignorance. Paul said they crucified Jesus because they did not know him. Jesus' second words are directed to the repentant thief who asked for mercy. As long as we have breath, it is never too late to turn to Christ for pardon and reconciliation with God. Jesus' death on the cross reverses the curse of sin and restores paradise for the lost children of Adam and Eve. God's mercy frees us to love and to forgive as Jesus did. Do you know or do you forgive those who offend you? The hardest thing that we can do is to forgive, but forgiving is the most thing that we can do in this Lenten season, this Holy Week. Yet Jesus was crucified for his claim to be king. So one description that we can see at the top of the cross is called Inri. You know the term Inri? It's called Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews. So what is the significance or meaning of the kingship of Jesus? Kingship means antiquated in a democratic society where everyone is treated equal and free. But we are familiar in our country that we have the queen, we have the king. Okay? And God at first did not want to give his people Israel a king. Why? Because he alone was their king and they need no other. Nonetheless, God relented and promised his people that through David's line, he would establish a kingship that would last for eternity. The Jews understood that the Messiah would come as a king to establish God's reign for them. And they wanted a king who would free them from tyranny and foreign domination. Many had high hopes that Jesus would be the messianic king, the political king. Little did they understand that kind of kingship Jesus claimed to have. Jesus came to conquer hearts and souls for an imperishable kingdom, rather than to conquer perishable lands and entitlements. So Jesus' kingship is different from a political kingship. His kingship is a spiritual one. That's why when you remember when Satan tempted Jesus during his 40 days fast in the wilderness, he offered Jesus all the kingdoms of the world. Jesus, however, knew that the way to victory was through the cross. That's why we need a little bit of sacrifice. So as Jesus was dying on the cross, he was mocked for his claim to kingship. Nonetheless, he died not only as a king of the Jews, but the king of the nations as well. That's why the scripture presented us with the choice between two kingdoms, kingdom of light and the kingdom of darkness. The choice is ours. Which kingdom do you serve? God's kingdom lasts forever because it is built on the foundation of God's love and justice. To accept Jesus as Lord and King is to enter a kingdom that will last forever, where righteousness, love, truth, and peace dwell. Do you allow, or do we allow Jesus be the King of our life? So this is the challenge for us today in this Palm Sunday. Do we accept Jesus as our King?